Hello, my name is Mary Berelson, and I would like to tell you a story. So, um, the story is, it's not really a story, like there's no moral to it, but as I was trying to think about what to say, I just figured that everybody has a similar type of story. Basically, what makes them them? How did they turn out the way that they are? And I have a couple of points about my life that make it seem like some reasons for how I have turned out the way that I am. So I'll start at the very beginning. So I was born in Ohio. It's a state in the middle of the United States in 1963 to some young parents who already had a almost 5-year-old son, and he was quite cherubic and wonderful, and everybody loved Ralph. And then I came along, and I was, regular little old baby, pretty cute myself. And my mom had suffered several miscarriages in between my brother and me, so I think that they were very happy that they had another child. And then they were done. And then about almost 4 years later, they had twin girls, identical twins, kind of an accident. And so our family of two, a boy and a girl, went to 4 children. And something kind of strange is I wasn't the oldest, I wasn't the youngest, I wasn't the only boy, and I wasn't a twin. So I was like the most nondescript of all of the kids in the family. So I don't know if that made me have to be tough and awesome and strong or what, but I know that that had definitely had an impact on me. As a matter of fact, I can think when my mom was pretty in the throes of taking care of the two new babies, and my brother was probably being pretty helpful to that cause. I was probably, as a 3.5-year-old, I was just in the way. And so my independent streak, I think, was developed and strengthened by that situation because I could do things on my own. I could fix my own food. I could sort of take care of things. I could get myself dressed. And so I think the more that my mom didn't need to take care of me, the more that I learned how to take care of myself and be pretty self-sufficient. So that has definitely had long-term repercussions and ramifications, positive, I would say, in my life, that I can do things on my own. I have a spirit of, if something seems too hard, I'll figure out how to do it, or I'll get the help that I need. But usually my first tact is to just go try it myself, and I can probably pretty much get it. And then another thing that was kind of interesting for my formative part of my life is that in our neighborhood, there was my brother, and then maybe about 3 or 4 boys his age, no girls, and then me and Jeff and Jim. We were like the next tier of age people, and so it was all boys and me, period. There were no girls in my neighborhood. So I learned to play. I could catch frogs, build things in the sandbox, and this is super gender normative, I know, and it's not really very PC nowadays to talk about it, but girls and boys had different kinds of toys back then, and I don't know if my parents just didn't have any money or didn't think that I was a girl or didn't need like pretty things, because I basically would wear my brother's old hand-me-down clothes. I could play baseball and basketball and football. I can throw a football like a quarterback, like you can't believe. Even to this day, I can really huck a football pretty well. And also a lot of that outdoor play. We would have kind of idyllic situations growing up where we would be going out in the morning and meet up with each other and ride our bikes and build forts and dig in the dirt and do fun stuff in the rivers, and a lot of that active things with all these guys. And there's one story I have when, actually, let me back up a little bit. Then my sisters, like I said, were quite a bit younger. Then there was a whole slew of girls. So as they were starting to get older, I could play with them, but they just were so much younger and they couldn't really do things, and they were so girly. And all their friends, all the neighborhood friends, were also girls and young. And so I would always try to stick with the older kids who were boys. So that kind of definitely honed my tomboyness and kind of masculine energies to a pretty strong level. Um, what else was I going to say? Let's see. Oh, so sometimes the boys wouldn't want me to play because I was a girl or because, I don't know, I was annoying or whatever. So there was another chunk of my childhood where I would do things on my own a lot. And so I got into music kind of young. I begged my parents to please let me take piano when I was in first grade. And believe me, the $5 a week half-hour lesson in a county over to go take a piano lesson with the choir director of our church was quite a big thing for our family, and for me to have asked for it and cried and demanded and really needled my way into getting those piano lessons led to a lot of other musical pursuits afterwards. So but along the lines of the music there is that if I needed to get away from the guys, I had such a wonderful environment. We had little creeks and rivers to play in. We had trees. We had beautiful elms and maples and oak trees, not oaks, elm and maple. And the maple trees had a kind of a soft, smooth bark and great limbs for climbing. And I would love to climb up this one favorite tree of mine that just had the perfect foothold at the base that was a little bit too high for most people to get their foot up there. All those little girls that would try to come up after me, they couldn't quite make it because there was one like lump on the tree that was pretty high up. And then the first branch, the first limb was really, just past the reach, so I could get up there and then climb. I would get so high in the trees that they'd, in their swaying, I would be up there and I would take a little what are those called? A little recorder, a little flute up there and a little journal. And I would glue things in my journal and have them up there and look at them. And I had a little treasure box that I probably sewed myself a little bag. So all of these little things that I would make for myself have definitely led to this passion of mine to keep creating things. So now as an adult, I play music, I build things digitally, I can make quilts, I can sew, what else? Like just a lot of those hands-on things that take some skill and a little bit of practice to, I paint a little bit, play music, I think I already said. So I think some of that solitude time in my childhood helped me develop the capacity to think that I can do it. And because I didn't have much guidance, it didn't really matter how crappy the stuff was that I was making when I was little. So of course I've gotten better at things as I've aged. Where else should I take this story? So I basically wanted to say that I was pretty much a tomboy as a kid, did a lot of boy things. I had those idyllic summers where we would play all day long. I can remember playing baseball or football into the evenings where basically the game had to stop because you couldn't see the ball because of the darkness. So, and in the winter, we have an awesome sled hill down the back of our property. And our property was pretty cool because everybody would come to our place. We were on the corner like of a T of the road. So we had the front and a side and a back, not just the front and the back. And we had this great rope swing that you could swing and play on, the sandbox, the playhouse, the berry brambles, the creek, the vegetable garden. We had to mow the lawn. We had pear trees, just two, but we would get pears off of them. And that thing about being in the middle just sort of gave me some kind of, I was sort of a little bit because I could handle myself as a kid and because I wasn't that much of a bother. I think I was, neglected a little bit because the twins needed more attention, and then my brother would start getting in trouble in his later years and he needed attention. So I learned how to be a really good student, but I could also be pretty sneaky. And I kind of honed that where I could get away with things because it wouldn't seem like somebody who was performing at a pretty high caliber academically and socially at school would be somebody who would be breaking all these rules. So that has definitely stuck over with me in my life. And yeah, I think I'm up to about my 10 minutes. I left my home in Ohio at age 18 and traveled in South Africa and took about 8 years to get my bachelor's degree in anthropology because I changed my mind so much and I kept wanting to go to different places and try different things. And I ended up here in Truckee, California, which is not very similar to Ohio in the sense of politics and wealth and things like that. But some of the similarities are the sort of small town feel, the family first type of feeling of this area. So even though I kind of moved far from home and started a new home for myself and my husband and family here, there's so many similarities to that hometown feeling that I have. So that's my story. Everybody's got a similar idea of what makes them how they are, but being in the middle and a little bit unnoticeable made me want to be noticed, and being raised with all those boys gave me a skill set that maybe some girls don't have. And learning how to be in nature, in solitude, was also a very big aspect of my childhood that makes me still appreciate that kind of thing now. So I appreciate you letting me share my story, and I have this off my checklist. So thank you very much.